Well, good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. Gosh, Tuesday's here again, Ramin. What are we? Wow, woo. Does time go faster when you get older? I don't know.
You
What
know,
do you
there's a
think?
rhyme and reason for that, why it goes faster, and there's a truth to it, by the way. That's another
Oh,
subject, but you get it,
well,
it is.
why don't that let that be our opener this morning?
Oh, okay.
Seriously? Okay, tell me about that. By the
So,
way, everyone, I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, and you're watching the Today Show, Money Matters on Tuesday, with Dr. Ramin Modiri. Excuse my manners. And of course, we're streaming live right now on Laurie Davis YouTube channel, two of them. One is Laurie Davis, the other one is 5 Minutes to No Limits. So we're on both YouTubes and our Facebook page, the Disability Channel Facebook page. So pay attention. So, what is that deal, Ramin? Let's do that little opener before we get into the money matters today.
oh, okay.
Why does time go faster? The question is, why does time go faster as you get older?
Well, there's a couple of things. One of them is based on science, actually. What happens when you're younger, every event that you have in your life is new. Because I've lived like 10 years, I only have 10 years of information experience compiled. So
Okay.
everything looks bigger. So there's a lot to look forward to, and there's a lot of new things. So when, let's say my age, I've had all these years, so all the experiences kind of repeat themselves. They're kind of predictable majority of times. So because I know what's going to come up, things have shortened because of the predictability.
Okay.
So that's one reason. The other reason is called proportionate, the theory of proportionate. I'll give you, Lego is really big, right? Especially with the kids.
Hmm.
So when you're building a Lego, you're looking at these pieces. So if I put 10 pieces together, build something on top of each other, each piece looks pretty big because there's only 10 of them. When you're at my age, I've built so many pieces. Each Lego, let's say, is one of my years. That little piece represents very small portion of that Lego.
Okay.
So what happens when you look at this? Yeah, it's bigger, but those Lego pieces are very small. So if I look at it, it's called proportionate theory. So
Right.
there is a rhyme and a reason why life looks a lot faster or time flies faster because of the experiences we had in life, and we've learned so much and we've seen so much. So again, that surprise is not there. The years look a lot more predictable than when you're a young person looking forward to do things. So anyway, just a side note from the
Yeah. Well,
science.
it's great to have a good opener. And I mean, I remember being a kid and I thought Christmas was never going to get
Ex-
here, right?
yes.
Went, is it Christmas yet? And it seemed like now we just get our stuff put away and it looks like it's, right around the
I
corner again.
know. Well,
Like
here's like a Halloween and then Thanksgiving and then
oh,
it's Christmas. You go to the stores on the other hand, also the decorations are already in September, they're already thinking about Christmas. So
I know.
just one after another. Yeah.
Yeah, because I go, do they have that stuff out already? And it's not, but oh yeah, but yeah, it is,
Yeah.
so it's really interesting. I'm finding a day means nothing really. Like I think, okay, today I'm going to get all this done. I showed you my journal, all these things done. And then I go to bed and I go, gee, I didn't get that done.
Uh,
I wasn't procrastinating. It was just that there was more
so
to do
much.
than the hours in the day, right?
Right.
Oh, look who's here with us this morning, our beautiful Virginia Clark. Ha ha.
Oh,
She never misses a show because she's home and she has the time. And that's a good thing. And glad she's feeling
good
good.
morning.
Good morning. You betcha. All right. Well, today, Dr. Ramin is going to talk about who would have ever thought that there's a connection between musicians and money, more particularly investing, trading, doing business. So I'm looking forward to your presentation today on just that very thing, because as you know, we've had some musicians on the show. We had
Mhm.
two last week. Oh my gosh, on Friday. We had Jill, young husband. What an amazing voice she has. And
Yes.
another veteran out of Texas who does country music and
Oh,
teaches music actually in the high school there. So it's really was a musical day. All right, so over to you. Let's get started.
oh, thank you so much. Before I start, this Friday, June 21st, is the uh, National Indigenous Peoples Day,
Yes.
and in Canada. So, in their honor, I'm wearing my
Oh,
necklace,
hold it
which
up.
I
Hold
was
it.
honored to receive from Dr.
Yes.
Diane Lafond, our health
Yes.
honorable health ombudsman. So I'm very grateful to her. So I'm
Oh,
in
she'll
their
be
honor. So
pleased by that.
I am so grateful to have that. So we honor our Indigenous community, their heritage, their culture. So, with that in mind, uh, this is what I thought about today. The reason is, as I mentioned before, I come from a musical family background. My grandfather played violin, and my dad was an accomplished composer, violin player. We had a guest a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Bipolar, and he mentioned how many instruments he plays. And my dad played trumpet, accordion, piano, but his main uh, instrument was violin. And I come from someone like my aunt, my uncle, my son, my mom, they all had beautiful voices. So music has been in our blood. So I've been noticing, or I've been observing the patterns that they've had, the good and the bad. What happens from when you come from uh, that creative mind. So my dad, he was a composer, so he would write, and he was very familiar with music theory. And I noticed there's a lot of similarities in what I do, which I have a lot of mathematical mind too. So about the patterns, about the how the music theory works. So um, before we start with that, I just want to give you a little statistics. In May, in past month, about a month ago, uh, the Billboard box scores, they recorded that the Rolling Stones, I don't know if they are one of your favorite bands or not, they are the highest grossing live music of all time. They have grossed $2.6 billion from their concerts. And remember, they started in 1962. Talking about time flies. They are in
Right.
their 80s and they're still playing, in 2017 to 2019 and 2021. I mean, they're in their 80s and they gross $546.5 million. And there's a lot to be learned from them. Um, and a side note, in 1990s, as you know, I worked a lot in Great Britain, and in London, I used to go to this restaurant in Kensington in London. It was called Sticky Fingers, and it was owned by Bill Wyman, who was a bassist till I think 1996, 97. He played for Rolling Stones, and he had this theme restaurant. It was wonderful, and we would visit there, and the Sticky Fingers comes from the album they did in 1970 or 71 from Mick Jagger, and he came up with the name of the restaurant. So I have this a little you know uh, connection in a sense of memory with Rolling Stones, and they had great sangria cocktails, by the way. So
Oh,
yeah, they
mhm.
were really good.
I do yours.
They they closed into June of 2021, which is about 3 years ago. And guess why? Because of COVID.
Yeah.
COVID affected. Imagine they were in business for 32 years and they
Yeah.
had to close it. So that brings me to why am I using Rolling Stones? Because Keith Richards, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, they
Yes.
started. And when you think about Keith Richards, now, of course, there's been talks about the drugs and that, but there's a lot behind the scene. And Keith Richards is about his dedication for the business. So, for a lot of younger people in our audience, if they want to see a business model, but Rolling Stones is a great business model to follow.
Oh, wow.
With Richards, he says, he would collapse on the floor and with the guitar in his hand, and he never start learning on the instrument. So all our life is about learning experience. And the other thing was, he would say, after we finished our gig, we leave the stage, we go back to hotel, and they just sit down and they keep writing new songs. And that was another signature of their success. They wrote their own songs. When
Mm.
they hired a manager named Oldham, the manager said, "If they're dime a dozen. There's um, so many musicians out there. If you want to be successful, write your own songs." And
Hmm.
that was the difference. So again, made me think about Keith Richards. He was highly analytical, and what he would do, he would study thousands of hours about the great blues artists and the rock Richards, and he integrated all that. As a matter of fact, he had a journal and diary. He would observe his audience, how they reacted for their different moves and the riff. And so this is, when you think of a musician, you think they just show up and they just play, and
Mm.
then they throw a fit, and they have to have a green and blue M&M, and if it's not, they're going to be upset. And it's a lot of dedication, and that's the really, it's important to us to understand that. And Kate Richards has said it's not about the money, and that's the key. I want to bring it out, that a lot of times when people get into investing and trading, yes, it is about money, but it's especially in trading, again, for our audience who are learning about that, or even the business, it's the process. You got to learn the right foundation, and you have to pay your dues. Unfortunately, a lot of times we think we have to get a shortcut to be successful. And
Mm.
the social media of the world and the technology, again, with the AI and all that I put in there, it constantly tells us, oh, you can get a shortcut. Oh, if you want from A to Z, here's the Z. Don't worry about the path. And that's not how life works.
No.
So let's come to our musicians. And as we got the right brain, left brain, although all of us use both sides. I mean, we are not completely, you're a right brain or left brain. But on right brain, as you know, it's more our emotional intelligence, it's our imagination and our expression, it's our creativity. And a lot of artists and a lot of musicians have that. And I know, like my dad, his best musical pieces were done. He would be up like to 3 or 4 in the morning, and he would sleep till like 10, 11 sometimes. When he used to teach. He was a professor, but if he wasn't working after he retired, that's all he did.
Hmm.
So the creative juice comes late at nights for them, and that's what it was. So that was a creative side, and that sometimes I do my best writings at that time. For the left side is our language, it's our numbers, analytical thinking. So when you think about investing, you think of numbers. You think, oh, if you are left brain, then you're going to be successful. Well, it doesn't work that way. And that's what I want to separate and say why we can learn from musicians. And for our engineer friends, which I know many of them and I love them, a lot of them, or accounting friends, I have a lot of accountants, they don't become successful investors with all that knowledge, with all that left brain. And yet you have some of the artists who are great business people. A lot of actually pilots make very good traders, because all the decision making with all the simulators in front of them, they got to be quick. So it's funny how there's a lot of misconception about successful investors and traders. So it's not just about analytical mind. There's a lot more into that. So I'm gonna give you some of the attributes that the musicians have that help
Hmm.
become successful in our investing, our trading, managing our business. Okay,
All right. So before you do that, I'm going to take a little break, get your
awesome.
thoughts together.
Okay.
And I did have a thought. when
Yes.
you talked about that, that assumption that to be a successful investor or trader, you have to be good with numbers, you have to be able to analyze things. And I bet you that's why a lot of your ordinary, well, your average bear stays away from investing because they don't think they have the right kind of mind to do it,
Yes.
which
Excellent.
could be totally false, right? It could be
Exactly.
totally false.
Exactly.
All right. Excellent. So I can't wait to hear those attributes. We're going to take a little 30-second break. And this will probably be the last week that we show the snowflakes going up in the sky because we do have people that are interested in advertising with us. And we've got a heck of a deal for first time advertisers. We're going to promote a special package for the first 30 people that come and advertise with us. So let me just do our little snowflake in the air. And this is where you could be featuring your product, your programs, your services, your book, if you have a CD, anything you want to get out there. Here we go. Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to the Today Show here on the Disability Channel. And of course, Tuesday is Money Matters. And at 11 o'clock, it's sports. So we do two shows on Tuesday with co host Dr. Ramin Modiri and then our host Doug Smith on the press box. So Tuesday's showtime. All right, over to you, Dr. Ramin. You're going to share the attributes of how musicians are connected to the skills that are necessary for trading. Gee, I'm talking a lot better now, aren't I, since I've had my workshops? I'm really getting comfortable with all the terms. All right, over to you.
Yes. I'm glad you mentioned that. Was a great observation as far as the numbers. So before I go to attributes, which will also help us to understand why we don't have to be hooked on numbers. It does help. My background is, it was math and actual science probability. That does help. But it's not the only criteria. One of the number one attribute for successful millionaires, I would say, is discipline. And that's actually more psychology than anything else. Your mindset is more than 50%. And that's very, very important. So the problem is I go back to that shortcut, and I see that with a lot of our younger people. They jump from one YouTube to another. They constantly picking and choosing, and they get confused because they don't have the right foundation. And I've said it before, as far as I know you have like workshops on like writing the right way. The musicians, they learn about the music theory. They know the notes. They understand how it works. Then they become, really good musicians. Here, I want to memorize things. You can memorize like one time and do one thing well, but you want to have the right foundation. So I totally agree with you. It stops people from that fear of that failure and think that they're not good enough. They don't go forward. But if you have the right foundation, whether it's in sports, music, you can succeed. So they can take, that 100 Shades of Prosperity, for instance. That will give them a really good foundation. So let me start with the attributes. I would say about 8 main attributes, and there's a couple of ones that they could go either way, but there's 8 attributes. And number one that separates musicians than like engineers is that creativity. That creativity allows you to think outside the box. Sometimes we are so narrow in a tunnel vision that we cannot see the possibility. So when we are trading or investing, we are very, again, thinking one-dimensional. Rather than thinking what ifs, things could happen. And that's a huge attribute as far as successful trading. So, of course, musicians, they have great creative minds. They can see in abstract way that sometimes we, in a just a pure factual and scientific way, we don't see that. Number two, and I mentioned about Keith Richards, is they're continuously learning. We think that if you learn one thing, that's end of it, or we are mastering it, we are so great. No, life is, our body changes every 24 hours. We are constantly changing. So we have to keep up. Life is about learning. And once we stop learning, that's really the death. So we can have a lot of uh, challenges physically, mentally, but we're still alive. And as long as we are learning, that's life. And that's living, not existing.
Mhm.
But that's what, again, Keith Richards, you see, he studied thousands of, different works by the blues artists and all that, other musicians. So that's another thing you will see in musicians. They're continuously learning, coming with new ideas. Number three, so I have my three C's on top. So number three is they're confident, not arrogant, but confident. And that is important. There's a healthy confidence. Whatever we do, we got to have that conviction. We cannot be iffy. We can make mistakes, and that's okay. So if I did a trade and I know that my I had the right as far as idea, and I went in, well, things didn't work out. I accept my mistakes, I get out. But I know my system. I know, all right, what I did was at that moment was the right thing to do. And you will see a lot of musicians, they're pretty confident. Sometimes we the borderline of arrogant. But so the first three, the C's are creative, continuous learning, and confident. And that's a common thing with the good investors and traders and business people. Number four, I would say two P's. So it's patience and practice. Again, hard work that Keith Richards and Rolling Stones did, and this is 62 years later, still paying off. That's something that they were patient. Things don't happen overnight. He says that they were sleeping in some of the worst places. They would but in order to achieve what they wanted, they had to pay the price. So they had to be patient and they had to practice. And that's, again, goes back in investing and trading. Things don't happen overnight. The trees are not going to give you the fruit overnight. The bamboos don't shoot up overnight. So those are things that are very important. So, and the musicians are good at that. Another P in number five is pattern recognition. In investing and trading, when we do trading, there are different patterns. Our nature has a pattern. A lot of musicians, if especially composers and people who write music, they will notice that a lot. There's these patterns, and uh, there is a science to what they are doing. There's a major and minor scales. There are triads. So there is a system and a pattern, and it happens in trading. And we've talked about, let's say, technical analysis. We look at the repetition of human psychology, and that creates a pattern. So if we understand that, we can be pretty successful in our systems, in our trading, and in our investing, because we are familiar that there is a pattern. As I said, the nature has it, and musicians are wonderful. And when they play the riff, you listen to blues music, oh my God,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just wonderful. It's like, so that's another thing. Or the classical music, completely, there's a lot of pattern. Another P. So I gave you three C's, and I'm giving you three P's. The sixth one is passion.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yes.
it's so important. Again, our young audience, please, whatever you do, have passion for it. If you play sports, play with your heart. If you start a business, start with your heart. And when you're investing and trading, granted, it is important to do, have, A to B to C to D, but enjoy it. And career, oh my God, people think because I got this degree, I have to stick to that degree the rest of my life. No, follow
No.
your heart and passion. And musicians, sure you've seen it. I know Jay, the founder of the TDC. He loves music, and when he talks about music, we talks about music. You see, there's so much passion. People who write, they have passion. So that's another common thing uh, that allows you. I wake up at 5 in the morning. I mean, I look forward to that challenge. I don't care what age I am. It is something to look forward to, and that's what life is. So that's another lesson we learned. So you got 3 C's and 3 P's. Number 7 is musicians and artists. They're adaptable.
Oh yeah.
They're not rigid, and they move. And sometimes, again, I've listened to this, like the jazz music, and they improvise, and then they feel the audience. And the same thing when it comes to trading, we have to be adaptable. That the markets, the environment changes, and I cannot just be so rigid and say, no, this is the way it is because it's been for 60 years. I'm going to stick with it. So that's another lesson that we learned. Number 8, they use metrics to measure. Like for instance, in music, we have tempo, we have the pitch. The same thing in trading, that we have to have things to measure our success, what we are doing. So we cannot just randomly think we are successful. So you have to have the measure of the evaluation of our success and how we are accomplishing things. And again, it goes back in music at the tempo and pitch. So you have something to give you the guidance, right? So that's another major thing, that as a random investor or trader, you think we just throw at things and say, well, happy-go-lucky. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to have something to measure with. So that's my top.
Wow, yay, I love that.
So,
Jay, have you been listening? Like, we're talking about how musicians are like money people. They have the right mindset. Welcome to the show, Jay. Good morning.
Thank you. I just jumped off set. I was on set for a little bit. I've been on set all day. Well, I've been on set for the last couple of days, so I just wanted to jump on. We had from Friday when we were on at the Halton Hills Library, and then we've been doing some events. We had Sound and Music all weekend over here out in Burlington. So we had classic Canadian legend rock and roll bands. Everybody, we had Chilliwack. So everybody out in BC knows Chilliwack, 4-man in a rock and roll band. So we had that. We had Chilliwack. We had Trooper, Raise a Little Hell. Raise a Little Hell, that song. We had Kim Mitchell, might as well go for a soda, or Paradise Skies. He sang some Max Webster. We had Jim Cuddy, who's the lead singer for Blue Rodeo, Northern Pikes. It was an amazing weekend, 50,000 people. It was great. So we were doing the media. And then today I was just all in the editing room with the editors as we're editing Friday's event and the weekend's event. So we've been busy, but I wanted to hop on because I love Money Matters on Tuesday. I have to comment on your guys' outfit. I love the LOL on your
Laurie
on there, Laurie.
Laurie online.
And I love the Miami Vice look.
Oh yeah.
Gotta love the Miami Vice look. I love it. I'm loving that blazer, Ramin. I'm loving that blazer. So yeah. I want to mention too, your daughter was on last week. We had such a wonderful discussion. She's got a bright future. Wow. She was telling us all about her experience at NYU and her writing skills. And then we had on a member from Burton Cummings band. We had on Jeff Jones, the bass player. So it was a real artistic day. Film, television, movies, music. It was a great day. So I'm not going to stay long. I got to run, but I do want to mention a couple things. Our show now on Your Home TV is up in the 15,000 to 20,000 range, which is great. Just getting a call, but I'll call back later. So we're really happy. Thank you for Your Home TV. They're such great professionals. They really take good care of us. They always share the analytics with us. So again, we're over 15, close to 20. That's just one platform. I do want to mention now that Facebook is updating our platform because it's getting so popular. So what we've done now is we've now sent the links to both Laurie's personal page and my personal page and as many other personal pages as we can, only because I guess for some reason we're too popular for the group page on Facebook and they have removed us, which I don't understand. But again, we don't own the platform. They own it. Maybe if we start adding some brutal beatings or strip shows or pornography or abuse, maybe they'll put us back on the platform. I don't know. Maybe we can start a reel or something like that and bring in people from Vegas and maybe they'll put us back on a flat. Just ridiculous. But anyways, we're innovative, we're flexible. We get in the door. So thank you, Facebook.
Right on.
Yeah. So what's else on the agenda today, guys, before I go?
Well, Ramin's talking, he's doing his deal on, we're talking about musicians today, and he's using the Rolling Stones as his base for success financially. Give him those numbers, Ramin. Give Jay those numbers for Rolling Stones.
Yes, they have been they've as of May of 2024, they're the highest grossing $2.4 billion in live concerts. 2.4 billion.
Now, up until probably, I would say maybe late 70s, they were one of the most popular broke bands in the business.
Yes, that's right.
Right? Until Mick took over the reins of the finances. Like most bands, right? The manager, you trust your manager. Well, don't trust your manager.
No.
Except for Peter Grant and Zeppelin. He was a great manager. But yeah.
So that was kind of our kickoff. That's what Ramin started with, was to, bring that in to view, because a lot of people don't understand that. And another point that Ramin made was things don't happen overnight. It takes 25 years to be an overnight success. And so patience pays off.
So what would you give a musician who's actually now just about to sign a deal, and he's been in the trenches for 20 years, but he's making it? Give him or her 3 tips, Ramin, going into that room.
Okay. Well, we've talked about like the athletes, and again, musicians come to the same place with the success as Dr. Laurie mentioned. It takes so many years. So the top 3, first of all, surround yourself with the right people who have your interests in mind, not theirs. So that's number 1. Number 2, I would say trust your intuition and gut feeling, because that plays a big, believe it or not, even in trading, which is all about numbers, your life experience always plays, and you've got to trust that. And number 3, educate yourself. Regardless of you have the right advisors, it never hurts to have that healthy, suspicion in the sense of other people's total confidence. It's wonderful to be, but it's always good to, using the education as a platform to.
That is 3 great common sense. Just common sense, right?
Absolutely.
Don't surround yourself with yes people, because they'll just take you for a ride, right? They'll say whatever you want to hear, like Michael Jackson and all the guys, right? Surround yourself with people who don't care about the money; they care about you. I mean, obviously, but they care about you. I like the second one was gut feeling. You have that gut feeling since you were a kid when something's not right. Yeah, in your gut, you feel it, right? Something's not right. Yep. Listen to your gut, right? That's a real good. I like that one. And the last one, of course, you want to educate yourself in the industry that you're in, so you don't get taken for a ride. And unfortunately, that third one is a lot where people don't do. They trust people. They trust other people to make decisions. I don't understand how someone, is in the trenches for 20 years, slugging it out with no help, no reach out, no umbrella, and then all of a sudden you make it and you turn your decisions over to somebody else. Why would you do that? I don't understand why. So I do understand how a real popular celebrity or athlete or whatever who's making a ton of money turns the reins over to somebody to handle their finances. But I can understand that because sometimes you're just so drained. You're so creatively, emotionally drained. You're putting on shows. You're doing a celebrity PR stuff. But have somebody like your dad or,
Well,
like Mark Messier's agent was his dad.
Yeah,
Mark
but
Messier.
Ramin has a comment on that because
Okay.
we talked about this in our finance classes about, the fame hits and then, your trust level is diminished because, you've taken your hits and then you turn your finances over to cousin Vinny because he's a family member, but he doesn't know anything about money. Am I correct, Ramin? Am I a good student? Do I listen?
Yes, Jay, there are sometimes the fathers, especially in soccer, for instance, I'm familiar. Or in football, I know some people who've done to their mom. It's the trust, but also the credibility, and that's why that the trust and credibility, those are the two main things. Sometimes with trusting a family member, the credibility is not there, so they do love you, but they don't have the background. The opposite is there's credibility, but there's no trust. So you have to have a healthy combination. And when it comes to legal or accounting, yes, I'm not a lawyer, but I know 2 + 2 is 4. So sometimes I have to, I can't trust, but also verify. Okay, these people are doing for my interest.
You know what I like? I like the Jay Leno approach. Jay Leno is his own agent.
Mm-hmm.
He's his own agent. So Jay goes, well, when my career's on the line, I want to be in the room listening to what the options are, and I want to make the decision. I don't want somebody, because you know what? He goes, I see it all the time. You did what? Like you're talking to your agent. You did what? Like, what are you doing? I would have taken that gig, or he's a friend of mine, or like, so I like Jay Leno approach. And then when they give you the 60-page document, then take that to your lawyer and go through it. And that's exactly Ramin and Laurie. That's exactly what I did when I signed the deal with Flanagan's with AMG and Sony. Right?
Good.
So they sent me, and I said, guys, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a professor. Dumb it down, but put everything in there so I understand it. And they said, yeah, Jay, we're going to write it so you understand the agreement. Right? So I went in there. I got the agreement. I read it. I did understand it, but then I sent it to my entertainment lawyer, who's also my cousin. Right? But he's a lawyer. He's a law firm on Bay Street in Toronto. Right? He has a big law firm. And he said, Jay, yeah, it's straightforward. I would ask him maybe about this appendix and that appendix, if he can explain a little further. Other than that, it's straightforward, right? But you make the decision. And that's what I said. I understood it, but I wanted another set of eyes who has a lot more, experience and education and a lawyer. But that's what I did. I went in and I signed the deal. And so far, so good. Yeah, so far, so good, right? So that's what I did. And I wasn't thinking, I'm going to follow the Jay Leno approach. I just said, give me the contract. Like, let me see it. Like, let me read it, and that's all I did. So this is great. So I'm gonna disappear. Thank you for letting me jump on. Again, I want to let everybody know that we're now on, and I do share the link on our Facebook page, but they don't share the show. But the show is airing right now, because before I came on, I wanted to make sure. So it's airing on your page, Laurie, Facebook, and on the Jay Stoyan Facebook page, so people can comment there, go there, and we'll do the same thing. And I really appreciate it. And I'll keep you guys updated what's going on. And again, we want to talk to Kimmy, right? So we want to get her involved. I mean,
for sure.
Okay, guys, have a great day. We'll talk.
Thank you.
Yes, have a wonderful day.
Perfect timing.
Yes, good.
So right back over to you. And if you're watching, I see there's quite a few people watching live, and we'd really appreciate your comments. When you put a comment, like if you're watching on the Facebook page or the YouTube channel, just, put a comment. Great show. because that really helps our ratings. And then, of course, if you're on the Facebook page watching and you comment, we can pick your comment up right here and I can post it as we're talking. So if you have a question or you want to make a comment about something we're talking about, or you just want to say hello, greetings from, do you know that we had a viewer from Australia here not too long ago? And, it was wonderful to find out that she was from Australia. So just, check in. Hey, hello, this is Mary from the Bahamas. That's really supportive and helpful to us. And how long does it take? 2 seconds. So I see right now there's about, I don't know, 8 or 10 people watching live. So just make your comments. And they're not maybe, and you can do that on YouTube also, right? You can make a comment on YouTube, right? Am I right about that? Okay, back to you, Ramin. Talking about musicians, we've got the attributes. Now, what's next?
So I'll just summarize the attribute, the 3 C's, 3 P's, A and U. So or M. They're creative, continuously learning, they're confident, patient in practice, pattern recognition, passion, then they're adaptable, and they use metrics, something to measure. So in order to, again, I thought, let's make it a little, at the closure, make it a little lighthearted. So something, maybe trivia. But how about the top songs about money? I'm going to give you
money.
Yeah, so I'm going to share with you the most successful songs, but something that if you are itching to, you got your, excitement about money and you want to just listen to some music, I'll give you, I think I have top 24. How about that? Written
oh
about
my gosh.
money. So let's start with number 1. The most listened to about money is, of course, Pink Floyd, 1973, Money, The Dark Side of the Moon. So that was a number 1 song about money written and played. Number 2, go back to what you just said, ABBA, 1976, came out with Money, Money, Money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's number 2. Number 3 is Beatles, Can't Buy Me Love, and that's about money. You know, money can't buy me love, although some people might disagree, but anyway. Number 4 is Beatles again from 1969. It says, "You never give me your money." So
yes.
And then number 5 is Lady Gaga, is Money Honey.
Oh yeah.
Top 5 for us. And then number 6 from I love OJ's from 1973, and For the Love of Money. So that's number 6. Number 7, AC/DC from 1990 was Money Talks.
Oh yeah.
Number 8, one of my all-time guitarists, and Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits. I love Dire Straits. 1985, and it's Money for Nothing. And they were big. They were one of the first real gigs on MTV, and they won the awards for that. So Money for Nothing. Number 9, late Donna Summer. She Works Hard for the Money. Again,
I know that one.
Related, yes. And then number 10, staying in 1980s, Cyndi Lauper. She Money Changes Everything, and that was Cyndi Lauper. And then another 1980s, my favorite dance music bands, and it was Pet Shop Boys, and they did Opportunities. Let's make lots of money. So again, that's another tidbit. And then number 12, another favorite from Patti Smith. It was Free Money, and that was the story goes. It's about her mom, and this was real story. Her mom always dreamed about winning the lottery, and she started writing that music. So I'll give you the next 12. Number 13 is Bruno Mars and Travie McCoy, and I know a lot of younger generations are familiar with I Want to Be a Millionaire. I want to
Oh, wow.
be a millionaire, and I mean billionaire. That's a great song. Number 14, Billy Joel, still doing concerts, is Easy Money. Uh, Number 15, this is another favorite from 1970s, and I love the Steve Miller Band. And Woody Allen made a movie based on that song was or the song was made based on maybe Woody Allen's Take the Money and Run. If you want to see a great movie, that you should go and watch that. But the Steve Miller Band had a great song, and they played Abracadabra. And number 16, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. That was Make the Money. That was number 16. Number 17 is Cream, but it's CREM, which means Cash Rules Everything Around Me. That was in 1997 by Wu-Tang Clan. It was kind of a hip hop music, but it was actually Cream, which means Cash Rules Everything Around Me. Number 18, in 1979 band came in 1979, Flying Lizards, and that was Money. That's What I Want. Number 19, this is from 2005, Kanye West, is Gold Digger.
Oh.
It's about kind of ironic how that song came about, and here he is. But anyway, that was Gold Digger. 20, this is another hip hop song. It's like a Notorious B.I.G. He more money, more problems. Talking about 9 beliefs and mindsets. So that's interesting. Number 21, 2011 song by Drums, the band Drums. It was called Just Money. And 22, one of my daughter's favorite singers, Lana Del Rey. In 2012, she came with $1 Million Man. And she's got a beautiful voice. Number 23, this is again goes back to late 1970s, early 80s. Hall and Oates, they were hot in those days, and she's a rich girl, so that's about money. And last but not least, most people will appreciate from 1980s again. That was Madonna with the Material Girl. So, and the video is very popular. So this was just a little lighthearted,
I love that. I'm going in and I'm going to listen to every one of those songs.
Okay. Just be
Sorry,
talking.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm a music buff too, and I recognize most of these.
Yeah.
So, I needed to be reminded. Good job! Wow, that's great.
So yeah, that's my little tidbit as far as the subject of money, investing, trading, and how we can learn. We always learn from each other, and that's another thing. Again, it's for everyone, but especially again our younger generation. Whatever you do, it's important. Make sure you make a difference, and be committed and focus and give your best. Unfortunately, what we do, we get excited, we start something, and I see that again in trading and investing, and then it fizzles out, and then we jump to something else, and just that commitment is not there. I mean, a carpenter is as valuable as a doctor a lot of times. So it's each one of us has a role, but every one of them have made that commitment, and you can see they are enjoying. They do have that passion. Life is not about 9 to 5 job to get a paycheck, retire, and unfortunately die 3 years later because I'm at home. I have nothing else to do. No, that's not living. So that's what I would recommend. Just have that passion. You can make a difference. And whether you're a musician or a Wall Street person, you will see there's a common things. And I mentioned about the musicians, they work really hard, and I've seen it. Unfortunately, many of them don't make it. It's just the environment they're in. It's very competitive. The same thing in movies and arts, but they can make a good traders, and I've seen that it has happened because they can very outside the box. Sometimes being idealist, it can work for you outside the box, but sometimes against you, the free spirit. Sometimes they don't have that discipline, and that's what it becomes a culprit for not being
Right.
successful.
Right.
So,
Well, when Jay was talking about, or it was you that said, you need to have the right people around you. Some people know my story, but some people don't. But anyway, many years ago, I was involved in a really nasty court case. And I, one afternoon, fired my lawyer, my accountant, and my banker all one afternoon. They couldn't believe it. I said, well, you know what? You didn't take care of me. And I'm paying you gobs of money to take care of me. And you didn't do that. So I don't think so. First time a victim, second time a volunteer.
yeah.
Right? Hurt me once, shame on me. Hurt me twice, or hurt me once, shame on you. Hurt me twice, shame on me.
Yeah.
So, I was already in that space of my mindset, and I thought, I don't care if you're a lawyer or an accountant, and if you're paying gobs of money to get a house built, you want the professionals doing it, right?
Absolutely.
You don't want them to put the house up and forget to put the windows in. So just on the humorous side of things. And what about that Justin Timberlake getting a DUI? Like, really, Justin? I heard it on the news this morning. This kid, with such a beautiful career.
Yeah.
Now he's gonna have a criminal record. Wow. We talked about that before too. That's another show, right?
That's right.
We can do that sometime. Talk
why
about
smart people do stupid things. It
right.
happens with athletes.
Right.
And
yeah. Well, back in the day when I'd be in a relationship and it was not very productive, I'd go, how did a smart woman like me get into a situation like this? Yeah. Right? How do we, because we rely so much on that, thinking that we're smart or feeling like investing and all that. It's just that we haven't learned how. And when somebody like you came along to teach us how, well, I'm like, I'm on board, man. Like, it's just because. And retirement, it's not even in my vocabulary. Is it in your vocabulary, Ramin?
What?
Retire?
What is it?
Yeah. Really? All my teacher friends who retired are either sick or dead. No? They all retired because that's where we are. But all right. Well, thank you so much. And you know what's really fun? You reminded me today of Friday being, National Indigenous Day here in Canada. And my guest is going to be Georgina Lightning.
Oh.
And she's a renowned filmmaker. Look her up. She's been filming and working in the business for 32 years. And she lives, she travels between LA and Edmonton. And she grew up here, just around the corner from me. So yeah, it's going to be fun. And then on Thursday, we're having some female veterans who are going to talk about what it's like to be 6% of the male population in the military are women, only 6%. So they're going to talk about, what it's like to be in that male-dominated environment. And no disrespect to our guys, it's just from their perspective. And let me see, tomorrow. Oh yes, tomorrow we have. Where do we now? Did I write her? Nancy Wright. Nancy Wright from California, and she's going to talk about what she does in the wellness field. So it's a big week, a big exciting week, and an hour from now we'll be here with Doug Smith for the press box. And Virginia says, great list of musicians. I wrote them all down. I'm going to go in and listen to those songs, maybe one or two a day. That'll be great. Be motivational, right? All right. Anything else you need to say there, Ramin, before we tidy up the show here?
No, it's always fun. I love our Tuesdays, and it's great. By the way, as I mentioned, if anyone is interested, they can contact you. I can always provide a PDF of what we talked about.
Yep.
So you can have a written list if they like to. But other than that, no, it's always fun. And hopefully we gave some information that our audience can use and make life a little more interesting and educational. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Everybody have a great rest of the day.
Yeah.
We'll see you in a little bit. And the big question is, do I change my outfit or not? I have to
No,
think.
don't. That's a bit.
No? Okay. All righty. Well, you know, those anchors on those television shows, they have a different dress every day. I've never seen them wear the same thing twice, so I'm going to have to go shopping here soon. Okay. Have a great day. All righty.
Bye
Bye-bye.
now. Bye.